Breaking right now, Prince Harry has been slammed in a new book as it emerges that King Charles is going to allow him to keep his royal title forever.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the latest royal shake-up that has everyone talking. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's royal titles drama, and let me tell you, Dan Wootton and P. Dina did not hold back in their latest takedown.
The Royal News Network writes on this, sorry, but Charles has been a bit of a coward here. He's not humiliating his son by stripping him of his titles, but teaching him a lesson. Actions have consequences. Charles also needs to consider that Harry and Meghan are overall doing a lot of damage to the royal brand. If he wants to keep the throne strong for William, Charles must deal with its weakest link, which is his younger son, be less of a father and more of a king. Now, I couldn't agree more with the Royal News Network. I have been advocating for Harry and Meghan to lose their titles for years. More so, I believe that Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet need to be stripped and removed from the line of succession until we know for sure that they are legitimate heirs to the British throne. Now, another reason for Harry to be let loose and cut loose is because he's just an embarrassment. And we have had an insight into why in this astonishing new book, Yes, Ma'am, which is written from the perspective of the royal servants. Now, it's by Tom Quinn, and the Mail has received an excerpt of the book, which they've headlined Prince Harry given savage nickname by former servants who joked it would take him 2 weeks to put his trousers on without them. Now, I can tell you what that nickname is, so let's dive deep into the book. Tom Quinn writes that the servants dubbed him probably the most muddled of all the royals of his generation, and said those working for him would compare him to a famous Blackadder character. This is what the servant said. I remember once in his private apartments, I'd muddle something, some of his papers on his desk or something. He was immediately angry, and it was out of proportion to the problem, or at least I thought it was. The source added that other staff had experienced similar incidents and even used to quip about the royal's temperament. We thought it was a bit rich, complaining about me being muddled, given that Harry was probably the most muddled of all the royals of his generation. The joke used to be that Harry was very much like the Prince Regent in the Blackadder television series. People used to say that without a servant, Harry would take 2 weeks to put his own trousers on, which is of course a reference to that famous Rowan Atkinson comedy. The book also claimed that several of Harry's former staff insist that his vulnerability gave him sensitivity and charm, but like his brother William and his father Charles, he was prone to flashes of irritation, which I would say is one of the understatements of the year.
If you're ready for the full breakdown of how they shredded the Sussexes over this decision, then stay tuned. And before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. All right, let's get into it. The royal decision explained. So, here's the deal. There's been a huge debate over whether Prince Harry and Meghan Markle should still be using their royal titles after stepping down from their duties. The palace has been under pressure to strip them completely, and now we're seeing some serious moves being made.
P. Dina joins me now, the royal YouTube sensation. P. Dina, look, obviously these are very embarrassing revelations for Harry. It shows this is a guy who doesn't really know what he's doing, but we knew that. That's why he's been so manipulated by Meghan Markle, because he thought that she was the woman who would take control of his life and career and turn it all around for him. However, I am actually with Brittany from the Royal News Network, who says the time has come for Charles to take some serious action because Harry and Meghan risk pulling down the royal brand. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. And I think the reason why he has the propensity to be able to do that is because he's in America now. And I think a lot of Americans are learning about the royal family through Harry's eyes and his experiences and what he is doing with Meghan. I think a lot of people don't follow it as closely. And so that is like the default. And I think it can be detrimental to the overall brand because they are an extension of the royal family. I mean, in America, at least, that's what it is. That's why they get the attention that they get. And I think you have to set the tone and you have to put down, your foot and lay down the law. What needs to be done? And when there are no consequences, learning doesn't occur. It does not get better, it becomes worse. And when there are no consequences, that is not good. And Harry needs to he needs to have consequences. And I think getting all of the backlash that he's been getting since being in America is good for him to eventually wake out of it because like I say on my show, he's got some stupidness in him because there is just no way a man like him should be led by this woman the way he has been led. And he is not getting better. It's getting worse because he's relying on Meghan. So I just think Harry is somebody that needs to have like that serious, tough love because that's what I always say, the most difficult thing to do is usually the right thing to do. It's difficult for the king to give Harry consequences. That's the difficult thing to do. So to default to just let him keep it, that's the easy thing to do. And that tells you it's the wrong thing to do. You need to do the difficult thing, make these tough choices, and make consequences because it doesn't help you, your legacy, the royal family, everything that is going on over the pond. I mean, I just hope William, when he takes the reins, he makes some changes and that there's a turnaround of actions because right now, and I even think behind the scenes, the king might even be still helping Harry. So it's just not good overall.
Reports are flying in that King Charles is making decisions behind the scenes, and let's just say not everyone is happy about it. Dan Wootton, never one to hold back, absolutely ripped into Meghan and Harry over their hypocrisy when it comes to these royal titles. He made it clear if they wanted out of royal life, they shouldn't be using any royal privileges.
And I think it speaks volumes to the monarchy, the way Americans see it, when you see Harry just getting away with everything with no consequences. It's not good.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. And the problem is, there are questions that need to be asked. There are questions that need to be answered about Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, for example. I do believe that Prince William will have the balls to tackle all of this. He probably is hoping that the marriage is over by the time he comes to the throne. At the same time, I don't think that means that he immediately welcomes Prince Harry back into the fold because there has been so much negativity, so much bad blood. It's Charles who does have this fundamental weakness. And yes, it is his son, but sometimes, I mean, look, Pidina, all I'll say, and I don't want to get into the details of the case here, but all I'll say is the late Queen Elizabeth II knew in her heart and in her soul that her favourite son, Prince Andrew, was innocent, yet she still stripped him of every last vestige of respectability and royal life because she knew it was necessary.
You have to show that side. You have to show that although this is my child, I need to do what I need to do to save, the monarchy, the image, the perception, everything that you do has to benefit that. You have to juggle both of these roles as parent and monarch. And I think the king needs to do that. I think that will be the right thing to do because you are really saying what is important and you won't tolerate this disrespect, the bad behavior. And I think it tells also Meghan that there are boundaries, because she'll continue to get Harry to try to cross these boundaries when there are no consequences. And I just wish that, yeah, the king would do something that would really take a stand. And that's really difficult for him, obviously, but it needs to be done.
His exact words: "You can't have it both ways. You can't claim you want privacy and then continue to cash in on the royal name." And honestly, he's got a point. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Now, P. Dina also had a lot to say, and she did not sugarcoat anything.
Pidina, fascinating revelation from the Daily Mail this week, which they headlined Meghan's last hope in regards to American Riviera Orchard. and the fact that Netflix is going to be selling jam, honey, and olive oil from Meghan Markle at their new brick and mortar stores. Now, this was presented as a positive thing for Meghan, a chance to prove to Netflix that she is really worth keeping and there might be another deal done. But that wasn't my read of this story, P. Dina, because if we really are talking about Meghan literally having her product in a couple of stores, I think there's the King Prussia Mall in Philadelphia and the Dallas Galleria. That is not a proper brand. I mean, you're literally talking about probably 1,000 units of these products. If there's no ability for people around the world to order them, is this not just Meghan effectively giving up on Aro?
Yeah, I mean, the copyright issue hasn't been resolved either,
No, it hasn't.
right? So yeah, I mean, what can you do? You just maybe just let it just fade out. I don't see how it can be successful until that issue around copyright is resolved. Yeah, you just have to go through with it at this point. I mean, what can you do? It has to go on, but you're going to try and see what happens. And we all know what's going to happen. It's not going to take off and be relevant in any kind of way. I mean, this is a big shakeup, a hiccup for her in her marketing of these jams. I mean, where were her lawyers? I mean, where were the people that make all this money that are supposed to, make these important decisions? This was not around, or maybe it was, and Megan didn't want to listen, and she wanted to do what she wanted to do. This is a disaster waiting to happen. Only two stores? Mm-mm, no. This is not, and I think out of rebellion, people are going to go and buy the King's Gym. I just had some this morning, by the way.
Is it good?
So I think it's going to be good for the royal family and the King's Gym, if
Yeah, I mean,
anything.
all I will say is let's see. Let's see. There is still the possibility, of course, that when the series airs, we will get a website, we will get the ability to buy the product, but it feels very unlikely.
She called out Meghan specifically, saying that she's always wanted the status but never the responsibility. And let's be real. After everything we've seen, from the Netflix series to Harry's book, it's kind of hard to argue with that. P. Dina's verdict stripped the titles completely. She says it's the only way to stop the constant drama. Do you agree? Drop your thoughts below.
Meanwhile, P. Dina, the real royal, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, is actually doing the most incredible work at the moment. And it's a real shame that quite a lot of it has been overshadowed by the Invictus Games this week. But Catherine's going about her duty in a quiet manner, but actually doing things that are daring and interesting and making a real point. So this was a visit to a women's prison in Cheshire. And the reason that she was there is because Catherine wanted to visit the facility's mother and baby unit, which is run by Action for Children, a charity that she represents as a royal patron. But Sky News reported that Catherine was actually met with catcalls and a wolf whistle as inmates leaned out of the windows of their cells to watch her walk through the prison grounds. But actually, once she was in there with these women, the conversation that she had felt incredibly natural, really interesting, really important. And what I love about this, and Catherine always just gets it right, doesn't she? This isn't a political issue. She's not wading into politics. It's very much a humanitarian issue, but it is still boundary pushing. And I actually feel quite sad that it's been totally overshadowed by all of the madness at Invictus this week.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, and I'm going to try to even do a better job myself with speaking more about the good work that Catherine is doing and the meaningful work that she does. I think needs to be seen more, especially by Americans that don't follow the royals, because I just wish we had something like that here. And she just always appears to be very genuine and interested in the work, the people, and making an impact. I think she is the example that we all need and love. And I'm so happy to see the work that she is doing, and especially for the women in the prisons, because I think Catherine, can really bring value to these women around their children and their upbringing. And that definitely is a very important work. It is the future. And she just seems to show up in such a great way that I hope that they will be in America soon. I heard that they would be, but this is the kind of work that needs to really spread and be elevated so much more.
Yeah, it's
I'm really happy that she's there.
Catherine's fourth visit to a prison. And speaking to staff in the unit, she said, it's great that you are looking at the mother's well-being as well. The best thing for baby is to have a mother whose emotional needs and well-being is met as well. But she also sat down with two former inmates, one woman who left the prison 6 weeks ago with her toddler son after serving a 14-month.
So now, the big question. Will King Charles actually remove the Sussex's royal titles? Some sources say he doesn't want to create a bigger divide in the family, while others believe he's running out of patience. At this point, it's anyone's guess, but one thing's for sure. This drama isn't going away anytime soon. And trust me, I'll be right here keeping you updated on all the latest royal news, so make sure you smash that subscribe button and join the conversation. Alright guys, that's all for today's breakdown. Dan Wootton and P. Dina absolutely shredded Meghan and Harry over this royal title mess. And honestly, the internet is divided. What do you think? Should King Charles finally take away their titles for good? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more royal updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.